The other WWE show that has happened this week is NXT. And even though the new era of NXT started a bit ago when they moved to CW, this felt like a big reset. And like the whole new era of WWE, that came up here too, I thought. You have two new champions, I guess technically three. Lexis King wins the Heritage Cup. But like you have two new champions, and you're setting a new direction for a lot of different characters now. And so this felt like new year, new NXT to me. What we start, Julia is the new NXT women's champion. The women's division on NXT is fantastic. They talk about it as the best women's division in pro wrestling right now. And I do not disagree. With the addition of Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, some of the up and coming talent, like Cora Jade is right there. Roxy Perez, we're going to talk about in a second, is excellent. And then like the Lola Vices and all of them, all very talented performers. So there's a lot to get really excited about on the women's side. And now I think Julia being the leader of that, it adds a lot of legitimacy. Not that Roxy Perez didn't. This match was great. But now Julia being kind of the head of that is excellent. As far as the match is concerned, like maybe you would have hoped for a bit of a longer match. And like if this wasn't on just this 2-hour show with so many other things packed onto it and had been able to headline and given a bit of a longer time, I think it could have felt that much better and maybe even felt a little bit more epic. But given the story they were telling and the overall directional shift for NXT, I think you kind of have to sacrifice a little bit of the match for the overall story and importance of everything and just kind of hope that offsets it a little bit. But I still think they made the most of what they had. And I thought they had a great match. And I think it makes sense to do this here too. It's part of a big show. And again, a big overall directional shift for the company and for the brand. And so Julia being the new face of that, I think is good. And like for her, she feels like an absolute superstar. And I have loved her work out in Japan with Stardom. And now getting the belt on her, I think makes a lot more sense. And again, you have a lot of really fresh championship matchups now for her going into NXT before she goes up to the main roster. And it kind of feels like the early days of NXT, where you have like Samoa Joe and like Adam Cole and Ricochet and even like Charlotte and all of them, Paige, on the NXT side of things. And they feel like they're already main roster ready, but you give them a little bit more seasoning and you give them a few more kind of draws. Let them be, instead of going up and all of a sudden she's in the feud for the Intercontinental title on the women's side, she is a main champion here and gets to build that reputation up still as that main champion. So she goes in with all that cachet that she probably would anyway because of her reputation from Japan, but it allows you to really build this star up. And like, again, NXT is kind of a touring brand. And we can talk about if developmental should be that, but it is. And so because of that, and it's still something that's supposed to draw numbers on a network, you need kind of those big stars. And I think Julia can be that big star. And also she comes with experience that can help some of the younger wrestlers out. So it makes all the sense in the world for her to be there right now, even though she does kind of feel like she is main roster ready. On the opposite side of that, Roxy Perez, seeing her growth has been so much fun. I was quite skeptical of the heel turn because she's such a likable babyface, right? Like she's young, she's athletic, she's got a fun style. There's all those different things. Like she was a difficult character and a difficult person to hate. But this heel run, I think, has made her such a well-rounded performer. And she got to it very, very quickly, which was something I was not really anticipating. Because you see the first couple of weeks and there's a lot of the stereotypical heel, like, nah, I'm snarling because I'm a bad person now, man. But the promo style and the match style and those facials and all of that really started to change and to grow and to develop. And like I said, it turned her into a very well-rounded performer. And it's kind of similar to what they did with Braun Breaker. He probably, I think, is a long-term babyface. It's even working its way now, right? Like, where are my dogs in whatever, barking such and such. And the style and the speed, and he's moving the ring when he's running and the spears and all of that. Like, he is a babyface. But they worked him as a heel for a few months, and now he comes up to the main roster as that, and it made him a better performer, and it made him a more well-rounded character. And so I think that happened here with with Roxy Perez as well. It grew her into a more well-rounded performer, and she has done an excellent job with that. And to be this good at her age, the sky really is the limit. I just don't think there's anything she can't do in this business. That not the only major title change, as Obafemi is the new NXT champion. I don't even think they knew what they had in this guy when he started, but he just kept killing it in match after match, in story after story, and it became very apparent as it went on that, okay, it's not just that guy carrying him, it's not just that guy carrying him, it's not just that guy carrying him. This guy has it. Like, he has that it factor, right? Like, he is a huge man. He is very strong. He carries himself really well. He has a look of someone that if you just saw him in the airport, it's like, well, you're something. I don't know what you are, but you're a something if you're not a wrestling fan. You just know that guy is that. And they grew again that character and worked it through him. And the important thing is they didn't rush it. It would have been very easy to kind of, again, calling back to dark ages of WWE creative, it would have been very easy to ride back this thing, right? He gets a few matches, the people are excited about him, so let's throw him into the world title picture. Well, we don't really want to put the world title on him right now, but we also can't really beat him, and so it's this awkward thing, and then it's too much too soon, and everyone gets sick of the character. They didn't do that. They slowly worked him up. And like he gets the North American title opportunity pretty quickly, but they slowly worked him through that, and kind of like a UFC or a boxing champion working his way through a division before being able to move up. He basically cleared out the North American division and worked his way into that title shot. And so people were ready for him to be the world champ, or the NXT champion anyway, by the time he got there. So this was a great job of developing a talent, but a phenomenal talent that kept taking advantage of every opportunity that he was given and making the absolute most out of it. And I think they have a absolute star on their hands in Obafemi. If you wanted to do a year-long thing where NXT is just the Obafemi brand, then by all means. But if you wanted to get this thing off of him at Stand and Deliver, and then he is the first Raw back from WrestleMania, and he is on there, I don't hate that at all. Like, if you wanted to put him, hey, Wooden Limp, I appreciate the what's up. Hey, how's it going? But if you were to put an Obafemi, obviously for obvious reasons, the Odyssey Jones situation didn't work with the New Day, but with the New Day having this new attitude, Obafemi kind of fits right in. And so if they wanted to put him with those guys, they could do it tomorrow, and he fits right in. He is main roster ready right now. On the opposite end of the NXT title match, it was Trick Williams, who his time in NXT is probably up. Right? Like, he has developed such a fantastic character. The crowd loves the entrance. They really get into it. A lot of people really got behind him. And yes, like he is not a absolutely flawless performer or anything like that, but I do think that he has kind of plateaued now at the Performance Center and at NXT. I think that he has really grown his way into being a top star at NXT, but the rest of his development, both I think as a character and as an in-ring performer, now needs to happen at the main roster level. It is like in hockey or in baseball, where maybe a guy has a couple of things that need to be worked on, but he is too good to be working on it now at AAA or the American Hockey League. Like, for example, I'm based here in Calgary. Dustin Wolf, two-time AHL goaltender of the year. Wasn't awesome in the NHL, but he wasn't learning anything else in the AHL, so you had to call him up, and this year he has been good and kind of learned it. That's kind of where Trick Williams is at, where any holes he has in his game, I think, can only now be figured out on the main roster, where there is a lot more room for him to grow. He has kind of gone and done everything on NXT's main roster. A few other NXT notes before we wrap up kind of this marathon one here today. Ava, daughter of the Rock. She still has a long way to go, but she is so much better than she used to be. Like, I've kind of picked and chosen my NXT spot, so I haven't watched her on a weekly basis or anything like that. And then seeing her, like, there's still work to do, but a lot of work has been done. Like, she is significantly better than where she was at when she started. And I actually found myself, like, intrigued by her conversations at times and stuff like that. So I think there's work to do, but work's been done, and it's been very effective so far. Shotzi and Stephanie Vacour, that feels like the direction they're going for the number one contenders match for the North American title, before we get to the Fallon Henley, I think it was. That's going to be really fun, and that's going to be awesome. And Vakur, like, she feels like a big deal, even going for the secondary championship. And I think having a legitimate performer like her holding that title is going to add a little bit more legitimacy to that belt. They've already done a pretty good job of having it be like, these are the up and comers holding this belt with her. But now I do think that a Stephanie Vakur title reign with that helps it out a little bit more. And her with Shotzi and the new group that Shotzi has with Gigi Dolan, I think is fun. Lexis King's character, I think we need to take another step now with this. From what I understand, we've been doing I don't want to be this bad guy because that was my dad, and I'm trying to be good, but I keep having these bad tendencies, and what do I do? And even in this match, the Heritage Cup thing, you have, it looked like it was trying to be a botch, or it looked like it was a botch, but I think they intended it, where Dempsey does the leapfrog, and Lexis King, like, trying to get under him, but ends up headbutting him in the junk, and he's conflicted about, should I take advantage, should I not? And then he does, and he wins the championship. And so I think we've been doing that for a while now with him. I think we now need to progress into, this guy's an asshole. Let's just call it what it is. And this guy's actually a heel, because he is, I think, better as a heel. Like the what was it, Varsity Blondes thing and all of that. White meat babyface thing. Even the Hart Foundation redo thing that he did in MLW. He's fine at it, but he's got like the painted on beard thing, and there's just, I think, more to him as a heel character with this. So I think that this needs to progress a little bit more now, but I thought it was a fine match nonetheless. I loved the look of this show. I really like it when they've been leaving the Performance Center lately, and it has been getting... It's been going into places that have a unique look, and this one had a unique look and a unique feel, and even the backstage area, like, it wasn't just your standard hockey locker room that they turn into an office. Like, there was wood paneling and all those different things. Like, it looked different, and so that was I thought really cool, and they do such a good job with that, because main roster, while it's been getting a little bit better, there is a real sameness to everything looking the same every night. And for a long time, when they just had like the video board and then the LED thing that kind of swung, like the wavy thing that they had, and they had that for Raw, SmackDown, and for every pay-per-view. You want things to have a different look, and you want things to have a different feel. And NXT being in the Performance Center gives it that, but then there's a sameness to those shows. And so now when you go to these places that have this unique look and a unique setup, it gives it a unique feel. It made it feel different, and because of that, it made it feel important. And now it's going to have a bit of okay, we're back to our familiar home base, we're back to a real strong thing here, let's go, with the Performance Center. And so I think just doing shows like that, I think, are a real benefit. And I think, honestly, AEW would benefit from that. That's why, like, Nitro, when they would do, like, the show from... obviously they started out in a mall, but then after that they would do the spring break shows, and they would do Sturgis, and they would do stuff like that. Like, it made it feel different, and it made it feel special, and it kind of broke up the monotony of, I'm watching the same show for 52 weeks, and April looks like June, looks like August, looks like October, looks like February. It all kind of looks the same. You can kind of break it up a little bit, and that just makes it all a little bit easier, I think, to digest. And so I think NXT has done a really good job with that. Also, The Rock, was it the most effective use of him? Probably not. You get a bit of a thing with him and Ethan Page. That was fun. I don't think it was planting the seeds for Ethan Page is going to help The Rock win at WrestleMania or anything like that. But it was a fun back and forth. And then some people getting on him like, he's just hogging the spotlight and all of that. It's like, yeah, but it's still The Rock on NXT. Like, this was not the time for an epic promo or anything like that. This was him out there just... It's enough that he is existing on the CW and on NXT. And, like, I feel like sometimes when you have legends come back, because we've been burned by this before, you want them to, he comes out and cuts a 15-minute promo about how awesome Obafemi and Julia is and all these different things. And instead, he's just kind of like shooting the shit, and he's swearing maybe a little bit too much and all of that. But I do think that him driving home the importance of the fans for NXT was good. And I do also think, like, the thing with, like, hey, know your role, shut your mouth and enjoy the ride that The Rock takes you on with Cody. I think that, because it was a little weird, him doing the stuff with Cody and all that stuff yesterday, but that is one where I thought it was so obvious, like, yeah, of course that's going to happen. He's going to do that, and then slowly the bad guy's going to come out, and it's just him kind of luring Cody into this false sense, and it's Cody, like, all the times he's like, thank you, but Cody's not really buying it. either. And so I think you can tell that story as this goes on. And so I think the one thing that the WWE, while they hadn't for a very long time, I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt for us to maybe believe that they're going to be able to tie all these loose ends together, and it's going to be a pretty awesome story by the time WrestleMania Night 2 is done out in Las Vegas.